Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. So next up, Jessamine will share with us some of her interesting stories and about her application for UC Berkeley. So Jessamine, can you please share with us like some stories that you discussed in your personal statement and maybe some from your supplementary essays?
Yeah, sure. So for UCs, we basically have like four supplemental essays. So it's not like other universities. You got like a personal essay, like a personal statement essay, and whatever how many supplemental essays. But for UCs, it's like four for every school. So basically, you wrote like four essays, and then you submit to whatever school that you want to apply to. So it's actually pretty worthwhile because you can just write like four essays and then apply a bunch of UCs. Um, yeah, I feel like it's pretty worthwhile. And for my four supplement essays, the first two, I was basically talking about the stories that I mentioned um, before in the interview, like in our first video. If you want to learn about it, if you want to learn about it, just watch the first video. Um, yeah, so the other two, I was writing about let's see. The other two, I was basically writing about my favorite academic um, subject, um, which is psychology, basically. I would say like why I decided to pursue psychology as my major, because I was quite interested in this field since I was a middle school student. Um, like there was like one day I happened to watch a TV show named Criminal Mind, and I really liked it. I really like it, and I finished watching. It's like 15 seasons for now.
Oh.
I finished watching them all. Like it's yeah, it's I feel like that's a lot. And I didn't expect I could watch like 15 seasons, and there's like 20-ish episodes, I guess, or 10-ish for each season. So basically it took me like I would say like almost 10 years to finish these 15 seasons. And I was impressed by the profiling methods they use to find out who would be the murderers or like criminals in the TV show. And I feel like it's really fascinating. And I thought that's psychology. However, I was wrong. So it's like criminal psychology, but it's not overall psychology. Since psychology has a lot of branches, basically we got like biological psychology, um, neuroscience, or like neurological psychology, and also cognitive psychology, developmental psychology, social psychology, and also there's like industrial organizational psychology. So basically they studied different fields, different parts, different features of human beings, but they all study humans basically. So I was writing about the TV show, and then I was saying like the interesting concepts that I learned in my psychology class. Um, yeah, so pretty much that's like the major thing I wrote for my academic interest. And for my last supplement essay, I was discussing the one thing that I think set me apart from other candidates that apply into the UCs. So basically, I was saying like independence, since I went to boarding school since I was in elementary school. Um, So, oh, actually, I was on a boarding kindergarten as well, but it's like, uh, yeah, so pretty much like that. So I didn't really spend that much time with my parents since I was in kindergarten, um, and then I went to Vermont for high school. So I transferred there um, when I was a sophomore. It's also a boarding school, so we live in a dorm, and then we have our proctors, we have our dorm parents. Um, yeah, so I feel like I didn't really like spend much time with my parents since when I was little. So that's why I developed like independence, which helps me to stay alive. Yeah, so I feel like that's a really important characteristic of mine, um, so that I can live well, both in basically I can enjoy my life both in my boarding high school and currently at UC Berkeley, because basically I'm dependent on myself, and I know like what I should do for like I would say like what I should do for the goals that I want to reach. So basically, like when I was in high school, I want to like apply for colleges. I want to go to colleges. Um, yeah, so it's like hard to describe, but I feel
Yeah.
like independence is like really important for me um, as one of the candidates for UCs. Um, yeah, so
Yeah, because I
pretty
think
much. Mm,
being independent is actually one thing that, like, I think sometimes we say like, okay, I'm grown up, but it's actually really hard to become like fully independent. So I
mhm.
think developing this trait in you, I think it's actually like, does it make you stronger sometimes? But I think it's really great how we gradually, like, for example, going like developing from a child and then becoming like as a young adult and then going into society. I think actually it's a process of going from dependency to independency and then going to interdependency. So it's like actually interpersonal relationships, I guess. So it's like I think it's actually a process of growth. So I think that's actually like it's really I mean, I was actually kind of surprised to hearing that like in kindergarten you were at this boarding school kind of. But I
Yeah,
think yeah, but I think it really helps to develop your independence, which I think is really great and makes you stronger
thanks.
sometimes.
Yeah, there's like actually a little story
Mhm.
um, that I had with my father. So basically, I was like 5 years old, and I was always frightened by strangers. So I was kind of afraid of strangers. I would hide myself behind my parents when they were like trying to introduce some their friends that I have never seen before. Um, yeah, so pretty much like uh, I went to um, a park that is close to my home with my father a lot, um, and I really love to like do the bubble winds, like the one you blowing bubbles
Oh
and then
yeah.
they like flow away, something like that. Yeah, I really love to play with those when I was little. And then my father was trying to like um, practice my independence, like practice my independence. So he forced me to buy those bubble winds myself, or I would not get anything. So basically, I have to go to the shops and talk to those strangers, talk to the salesperson to buy those bubble winds. So my father would give me money, and then I went to the shop alone, and then I come back alone as well. So I have to like if I wanted to get the bubble ones, then I have to go myself.
Oh,
That was really challenging for me at first, since yeah, because I feel like it's the end of road if I'm not staying with my parents.
mhm.
Yeah, I was just like I guess 4 or 5 year old. So I'm still in the kindergarten.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, I
uh,
mean, for a small child, like 4 or 5 years old, I mean, that must be a really, really big challenge. So I think maybe that was one of, like, it helped you take like a larger step towards independency, maybe. So I think actually that's a really interesting story. Yeah.
I feel like they established like emotional independence for me.
Mhm.
So they're trying to teach me like how to like transform from interdependence, just like you said, to independence eventually. Like, because all we are talking about are the emotional independence, pretty much, right?
Because I think going from like like I read previously, actually this concept it was like from a book that I read before, and then it was saying that like because before like after you're born you're mostly dependent because like mostly on your parents and like on babysitters if you have one, but like and then later on it goes to independent where like you know who you are and then you live as a person like by yourself, and then later on it's interdependent where it's like after you're independent and then you go into this phase of interdependency which is basically working with other people like we're doing right now. It's like
Oh,
working with everyone else. So I think that's actually like I think that's actually a really great process because I think right now many of us might be in like okay there's still some people that might be in the dependent like phase but like they're already adults. So I think right now it's really great for you that it's already independency, which I think it's really hard because I'm still trying to develop that. But yeah, but I think it's also great like seeing how some people like they merge independent with interdependent, like working with others. So I think that's also a really interesting aspect that we can look into. Yep. So I think that story was actually really great how like you as a small child developed had like a sense of in- independency. So I think that was a really nice
yeah,
story. Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah. So next, can you talk about like for example, UC Berkeley, like did you apply during early decision, early action, or like regular decision?
There's actually only one deadline for UCs,
Okay.
which is the usually is the end of November. So for mine, was November 30th,
Mm.
when I was applying. Um, yeah, so
Okay.
there's like no ED, like early decision, regular decision. There's like just one.
Okay, so it's basically under the UC system, right? Sorry,
Yeah,
I keep on getting those like systems mixed up.
yeah, they have like their own system, like yeah. So you have to get on their system and then fill out all the information again
Mm.
to apply. Yeah.
Yeah. So like basically, why did you choose to study at this school? Like, I mean, UC Berkeley is great, but is there anything in particular that made you want to study there?
Um, so I have to be honest with you. So at first, I didn't really expect that I would get into UC Berkeley. So I didn't do like a lot of research on UC Berkeley because I really wanted to go to colleges in East Coast. So
Mm.
I wasn't like I didn't expect that I would eventually come to the West Coast, basically California, for my college.
Mm.
Um, but now I figured it out, and I feel like there are a lot of like strengths or like a lot of resources that UC Berkeley can provide you. So, for example, for me as a psychology student, we have a like um, a program named the UREP. So basically, that is undergraduate research appearances program. It's like pretty straightforward. Um, what you could do in this program was to join one of the labs on campus. So for me, I would join like psychology lab. For like MCB students, like stands for molecular cell biology. So basically, biology student, they can go into one of the biology labs. Sorry, biology labs. For their research experiences. So basically, UC Berkeley provides a lot of opportunities for undergrad to actually to experience like what it is like to do research. It's like it's I feel like it's really valuable because um, the U.S. colleges do not really provide that many opportunities for their undergrads who want to do research. So yeah, since because if you're an undergrad, then you might not learn a lot, or like you might not be qualified enough to do research with the labs. Um, However, like UC Berkeley could provide you with this unique experiences. Um, yeah, I feel like it's pretty great.
Yeah, it's really great when like a school actually supports you in
Mhm.
like doing your own research and actually trying to solve some of the largest problems in the world. So I think that support is really great that you got there. Yeah, and also, why did you choose psychology as a major? Well, from your previous stories, I've heard that you're really interested in actually helping others in
Mhm.
solving maybe like in terms of cognitive psychology. So, did you end up taking cognitive psychology as a major, or like which branch of psychology did you go into?
Okay, for my psychology part, I was quite determined to take this as my major before I entered UC Berkeley. But for my cognitive science major, also basically I'm doubling major with psychology and cognitive science. Just for a recap, um, so for cognitive science, I decided to take it as I decided to make major in cognitive science after I entered UC Berkeley. Um, the main reason like I did this primarily because I really want to make my college tuition worth the cost. So
Mm.
if you could get like two majors on your bachelor degree instead of one, I feel like it's really you could learn more. Um, and it's like really I feel like I feel really good to have two majors listed on my bachelor degree. So yeah.
Really cool. Like, is it hard to get like a double major in like UC Berkeley, for example, during your undergrad period?
I don't think it's hard because um, almost every friend of mine, um, they are doing like doubling major, um, yeah, at UC Berkeley since our graduation, like the units we are required for graduation, is like 120, like 120 units. Um, yeah, so if you are only doing like one major, um, then it's like not like for one major there are not that many units um, you can do, like you can fall through for I would say graduation requirement. um, so since you have to reach that unit cap, like the 120 units for graduation for graduate, um, yeah, so I would say that's why people are doing double major. um, yeah, and also for me, I feel like there are a lot of overlaps between cognitive science and psychology. So basically I'm talking about their they have a lot of shared prereqs and also upper division courses. So for the prereqs, we have a policy that you can overlap as many prereqs as you want. However, for the upper divisions, you can only do like 2 overlap courses for for different majors.
Oh, I see.
Very
Okay.
much like that.
So basically, you can actually take maybe courses that relate and actually that what would you call that kind of like going into the interdisciplinary fields? Because it's kind of like there are some linked areas, but like,
Hmm.
there's still differences, right? So I think it's great, for example, when you apply knowledge from like one area to psychology and then see how they link. So I think that's actually a really interesting aspect of like double major. Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm interested in the the clinical psychology part of the psychology, um, and also I'm quite interested in the cognitive neuroscience part. So I really want to figure out what happened inside of our brains, how would those neurotransmitters or like neural networks. I'm not sure whether I'm using like the correct concept, but I'm quite interested in those ideas of human beings, like how humans function. Um, yeah, because I believe there's mind and body interaction um, for a human being. If you have to function, if you um, I would say if you want to function well, then your body and also your mind have to interact with each other well.
Yeah, because I think like
The
for
concept for psychology.
yeah, so I think right now like we're all a part of societies, but then if you look into like what society is made up of, it's actually we're all human. So like
Yeah.
it's really great to just study the fundamentals, I think, like what human is all about. So basically I think that's a combination of actually biology and psychology. So I think that's a really interesting field to actually go into. Because I think after knowing about these concepts regarding like relating to biology and psychology, it gives you like a really strong like what do you call it like a base for actually going into other fields. So I think,
Mm,
for example, like there's also sports psychology and like
mm,
as you said clinical psychology and also like even in business I think because if you have like consulting services or like but I think like psychology and as you mentioned like cognitive sciences, they're really linked to like a lot of different fields. So
yeah.
I think it's really great to have the fundamentals and then apply it to different areas. So after sharing about your major and UC Berkeley, do you have anything interesting that like to share with us that's special about UC Berkeley?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, there are two really interesting facts that I know after I entered UC Berkeley. The first one is that everyone loves boba at UC Berkeley. There are a lot of memes about their passion for bobas. Um, yeah, and also so we have basically approximately 10 boba shops. I
Well,
feel like there's more. There are more,
like
but
on campus or like
but
on campus?
it's around campus. It's
Oh,
like not on campus specifically, but it's like really close. Since Berkeley, the city of Berkeley is really small, so yeah, so it's um, basically you see students like you see Berkeley students, they can um, like um I would say like it's really easy for them to get bobas almost everywhere in
that's it.
Berkeley City. Yeah, it's
They're-
like yeah 10 plus boba shops I would say, and there are still there are there are two or three opened last semester. So every semester we got a bunch of new boba shops open. So I feel like that's a proof for our passion, our love for boba,
Mm,
basically.
yeah. I think that's actually a really, really fun fact because, like, I mean, who doesn't love boba? And I think it's really great to have like, it's really convenient, right? Because if it's around campus, then you actually get to go there often. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, so I think that's actually a really fun aspect.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes. And also, we have another kind of like a fun fact. We also have a thing called Berkeley time. So it's like 10 minutes late for class. So basically, if your schedule um, is saying like your class will start at noon, so basically 12 p.m. But the real time, like not really real time, but the actual time for the class is actually 12:10. So it's
Okay.
not like it's like 50 minutes for for a lot of classes instead of an hour. Yeah,
Okay. That's actually really interesting. So, like, if it says 8 a.m., then that means you have to be there before 8:10. Is
yeah.
that? Oh, okay. That's pretty nice.
So you has like you would have like a 10-minute flexibility, I would say. Yeah. And also when my friends and I like when we are hanging out, we if we are going to be late, we are just going to say like I probably need another Berkeley time um, to to meet with you, or
Oh,
like just give me another two Berkeley times.
mhm.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
was like a lot of traffic or something like that.
I think having that like secret signal, like Berkeley time thing, is really it's actually really fun to like sometimes. Oh, okay, give me like 10 Berkeley times. Is that would that be like? Okay, yeah, it's pretty interesting. So like, if you say like, give me 6 Berkeley times, that would be like an hour, right?
Yeah,
Hmm, that's interesting. Okay, so thank you so much, Jessamine, for sharing with us in part two. And I think overall we've all learned a lot about UC Berkeley and all those fun boba facts and Berkeley time. So please stay tuned to our next video where Jessamine will share more about um, her own thoughts and what psychology and her interests mean for her. Thank you.
thanks.